Welcome to Talk About It with Sharl and Kee. Listen in as this couple shares real conversations with much wisdom, strong knowledge, keen understanding, and thought-provoking life experiences that will captivate you, motivate you, and inspire you to move in your God-ordained destiny.
Welcome. We are so glad that you joined us tonight, and we have a special treat for you. Our special treat is about the topic obedience. Yes, I said it, obedience. So when my husband came to me about what we were going to share, he was like, obedience. And I'm like, okay, I have so many things going on in my head. There's so many different things that I can talk about regarding obedience and how that has been a ongoing walk for me. I'm just thinking of more recent when I was given instructions on going to an event. Actually, it was a seminar training, a healing seminar. And I knew it was for me to go to. And I remembered thinking, my husband is not going to want to go to this training. He's very peculiar, guys. He will go to things and have in the past. But this was going to be out of his element at a totally different location. And I was like, oh my goodness. And you know what God told me to do? He told me to ask him. And you know what I did? In my mind, I doubted. I was like, God, he's not going to say yes. God said, ask him. And guess what I did? I asked him. So now he's going to share from his perspective, his thoughts about it all.
So guess what I did? At first, I said, yeah, I don't know about that. You know, I was like, well, she said, God told me to ask you. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I should do it or not. So I just kept praying about it. Then I did it. I signed up to go to the seminar, being obedient to God. Let me put it that way. I was because God told me to go. I said, you know what? I'm going to be obedient, and I did it.
You skipping some major points.
What I miss?
That you need to share.
What
you
did
need
I miss?
Tell about the process of it. It wasn't just that easy. You didn't just tell about the process.
I mean, the process was like I didn't want to go. Like I literally did not want to go. You know what I mean? So
that's not the process. The process is you didn't want to go. That's your feelings. The process of it is the complete package. So you should share that. So what happened? I sent you a text that morning.
Yep.
And I shared with you about the seminar.
Yep.
And you said,
nope.
No, you didn't. You didn't say no.
I said nope. I was like, I pray about it.
That's what you said.
I said, I pray about it. But I'm saying to myself, nope. Like when she sent it to me, I was like, nope. It was a healing seminar, and I was like, I don't know about that. But then I was like, you know what? As time went on, 2 or 3 days, something, 2 days or something like that, and I was just like, I was battling with this thing. I was like, man, I don't want to do this. But then I thought about 1 Samuel 15 and verse 22. It says, obedience is better than sacrifice. So I was like, gosh, I got to do it. So actually, is that all the process? Or
no.
Did I leave something out?
You left something out. You left something
out.
What
did I leave out this time?
You said to me, let me think. I want to say it.
See,
I
she don't even know what the process.
I do. So I think I text you back because you know what, guys?
A reminder that, hey, the thing cutoff is in the morning at 1 o'clock or something. Right?
Okay. I think so, but I think I asked him a few times after that, guys.
You did.
And he was still tripping. He was just like, Yeah, what did you say? I said that ain't nothing but your flesh.
I was like, well, I just don't like to go to everybody's church or I don't know these people. All these excuses that we make when God tell us to do something and we don't do it, and it goes back to like Deuteronomy 28. Like we was talking about this the other day. We love the first part, 28, Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. We love it. The head and not the tail, above and not beneath, and all this, all of that. But verse 16 through 68 is things that could happen if you disobey. So, you gotta understand that when God gives you these things, like my wife, she gives me some things sometime, and I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Hey, fast, something as simple as fasting. I think God is, put him on the fast. You ought to join. I'm like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? But I'm being disobedient if I know that God is telling me, and then I don't do it, right? So, you just have to be mindful, and you have to be able to hear from God, listen to God, and see if it is God that's telling you, or is it your flesh that's, not wanting you to do it or wanting you to do it. So that's just how, how it's other things too that, she's brought to me, prayer classes, practical ministry training classes, other things that at first I was like, no, right? It's like, no, I'm just not going to do it. I just, forget about it. I'm not going to do it. And then God says, I need you to do it. One of the hardest ones for me was the dance ministry. When God said, my wife came to me, Kee came to me and said, hey, I think we need a man to carry that crown through the middle. And I was like, yeah, you might have to get somebody else for that one. They was practicing something. I was like, you might have to get somebody else for that one. And then I think it may have been maybe a week or two later. I'm not sure the exact times, but God was saying, I want you to join the dance ministry. I said, join the who? Like, join the dance ministry. I was like, I don't know about that. I already do that. And I already said to myself, that is not God. That is, I know this ain't God telling me to do this. I know for a fact. And sure enough, he was.
But babe, I wanted to just go back just a smidget.
Boy. Okay.
Because you did not share
what did I leave out
something very key.
Like what?
So guys, when I think I called you were at work, and you text me and I said I didn't sign you up. I said I added your name or something like that. Yep. Mm-hmm. And you told me you had already signed up 7:00 that morning.
Yep. And actually it was 6:08 a.m.
So he had already done that. So I'm okay, guys. I'm still trying to make this thing happen because I have that habit. Let me say had, because I'm a work in progress.
Yep.
I want to force it sometimes.
Yep.
So during this particular time, he told me, I called him and he was saying something about my whole weekend, pretty much his whole weekend.
My whole weekend tied up.
Mm-hmm. After God had already been dealing with him, then still his flesh was acting up. But at some point, I think
a fool.
I got a little bit. I want to say upset, but maybe not upset. But
it was upset.
You think
Let's
just
keep it what? Yeah,
okay,
oh yeah.
So I'll use that word upset then, because I wanted to use a different word, because I felt like I wasn't completely upset, but I was in my feelings. And you know why I was in my feelings? Because I knew God was dealing with him, because he is one that would say no. I mean, I thought that was his favorite word at one time. So when he said that he signed up, I'm like, dude, if you signed up, this is what I'm thinking. Dude, if you signed up, that is already God leading you. You already know you have the answer. So finally, after I got off the phone, he texted me back and said, God said, do it with a smile. That's the key, what I want to say. God told him to do it with a smile.
And do it with a smile. I did. We went, and it was pretty entertaining. Learned a lot. Some things that, that was, it was, let me say it like this. It was really interesting, and I learned a lot. But if I had been disobedient, I would have missed out. You know what I'm saying? On some of the key things that he was showing us, and the things that he was having us do. So I would have missed out. You know what I mean? Just like, I'm going to go back to the dance ministry thing, because that was kind of like a key thing. What God said, join. I was like, I started rebuking that because I said, I know that ain't God telling me no mess like that. So, long story short, I joined the dance ministry. The first male at our church to join the dance ministry. So you can only imagine how intimidating and how fearful that was. But I had to be obedient. So there's going to be times in your life and in situations that you run into that it's going to be fearful. You're not going to do it, but you have to be obedient. You know what I mean? So I remember the first practice, not the first time that I ministered, but the first practice, how intimidating that was. And you were like, hey, I want everybody to, I'm going to put this song on, and I got a song for each one of y'all, and I want y'all to just minister it.
I don't think that was the first.
That one the first one?
No, that was another time, but
I don't remember the first one. Then. Y'all disregard.
I think I think that was such a shocker for him. He remembers that as his first time.
Oh, it was a shocker. But I was still being obedient, even though I was uncomfortable, even though I was fearful, even though people were laughing. The men were laughing. You can have on and all this other kind of stuff. I was still being obedient, regardless of what, regardless of what they said, what they thought, and what people thought. God said do it, so I did it. And I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too, because it really, as a wife looking at her husband minister prophetically and not having any training, only going to maybe a couple of conferences, and I feel like he just caught that prophetic wind, and it was just on the inside of him. And I remember one of my sisters in Christ and I were praying, and it was years before that, and she said that she saw my husband, he wanted to dance and he wanted it to be real. And I'm paraphrasing her words, but it was pretty much like this, that he wanted it to be genuine. He didn't want it to just do it. And when she gave that word, I was just like, now my sister can hear from God.
But she missed this one.
I felt like she missed that. My husband dancing? What are you talking about? But truly, that is exactly what happened. And it was a blessing to see him truly ministering unto the Lord. You can tell in his eyes. I remember one of the other dance team, the dance ministers said, when he picked those flags up, it's like he was declaring something over us. And to have a male with you, to stand with you, because it is such a spiritual dance ministry, from my perspective, is there's so many spiritual elements. There's so much in it. So to have him with us, I felt like we were standing in the army and we had a king with us. You hear me? So I'm very grateful. I'm glad he brought that up.
Yeah, because that was one of the ones that, I really had to. Now, some of the other ones, I would do it. I would say no in the beginning. I'll bark at it. And then God would deal with me on that. Like, hey, it's bigger than just your little way you feeling about it. I'm trying to get something to you. So you're going to have to go through this to get that. So you're going to have to be willing. And I know I'm telling you again, it's going to feel uncomfortable. That's a fact. But I remember, I'm going to tell y'all, this is a really good, this is about my wife here. Is like in regards to being obedient. When she first came back to the church we were at, right? God told her to get up there and minister. Imagine this, picture this. At a church you rarely, am I saying that right?
Rarely go to, yeah.
Yeah, rarely know or go to, because you just came back.
I had came back.
Yeah.
After a long time.
I
was at a different church, yeah.
And God said, hey, I need you to get up there and minister by yourself. Because at the time, she had to do this by herself. Just imagine that. So her obedience, to do that was like it was really, really a powerful thing, especially up there by yourself. And as I became one of the best dance ministers that day,
my gosh,
that you could see this part of North
Pray
Carolina.
Pray for him.
It was for me to be up there with them. It was fearful. Imagine being by yourself. So kudos to her.
I really bless God for that, and it truly was God. In the first time I actually did it, to be honest, it wasn't me by myself. It was actually one of my sisters.
But what
Christ.
happened?
But then that was us going forth, and because I did that, God opened a door for me to be able to dance every Sunday that I wanted to minister and glorify Him. And it was a door. There was a door that He opened for me being obedient. I truly believe that. So I'm grateful that He brought that up. I didn't even think to bring that up. But
well, I'm gonna stop telling these stories, because every time I tell a story, it's wrong. Like for example, I was saying like my first practice. She was like, "No, that wasn't the first practice." Then I said the first time she ministered by herself, "No, it was somebody else up there with me." So I'm gonna just kind of ask her about these stories first before I start sharing them like that. But anyway, I want to say this: whatever you do, just be obedient. If God is telling you, I'm telling you from experience, both of us. If God is asking you to do something, it could be job, it could be career, it could be business, it can be whatever it is. Hey, I need you to teach this word, or I need you to go speak a word into somebody that you don't even know, and you know that it's God. Do it. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. It really will.
okay, well, thank you so much for joining in, and we are grateful that you shared your time with us. Until next time, be blessed and stay sweet.